Ready? Ah, the aliens are coming. Welcome.
11:15.
Welcome to the Complete Unnecessary podcast for Tuesday, April 28th, 2020, alongside Ian the Disruptor Ferguson. I am Pat Country. On the show today, we'll be talking about lots of fun stuff.
Let's just jump right to the most important one. Let's hear about your bidet.
No, we're not going to get the bidet first. I'm quick on the show. We're talking about Call of Duty cheaters, Neo Geo 30th anniversary. We have a Patreon poll topic. Another video game item on Pawn Stars. Real quick, before, we can get to the bidet. That's all, folks. Hair update. Week 12. Week 12 is hanging in there. I mean, it's literally hanging in there, but I mean, like, week 12, a hair update. I think once we get 2 more weeks in, we're gonna get trouble. Once we get to week 14, it's gonna be bad. It's gonna get bad there. You want to talk about the bidet first? I had the whole order.
Let's. I don't care about your order. Let's do it. Let's hear about the bidet.
All right. So we'll talk about the bidet first. I'll reorder it here, Ian. I had it all set up in my head. So the bidet, I got the bidet for a few reasons. One, toilet paper has gotten scarce here.
It hasn't, though. I mean, it's all over the place.
Can you let me tell you want me to adjust my story?
I'm just saying that toilet paper's not that scarce.
I'm not going to talk about the bidet if you're going to be combative, Ian. So I get the bidet. I order it online, finally. Plus, I got it recommended from a couple of people, including my good friend Yoshi. And so I ordered the bidet. And they're all on Amazon. They're like, you can get a decent one for like $50, $60. You can install it yourself. There's a little T thing from the water supply to the toilet. You hook that up, goes back to the toilet and goes to the bidet. You put it underneath your toilet seat cover. Your toilet seat cover comes off easily.
Right.
If you're not at Castle Country.
Oh.
So, out of all the trouble I've had here, it's only been plumbing issues or calling plumbers.
You have had some plumbing issues.
I've had plumbers come out. I've been here 2 years, 4 months. 5 times I've had plumbers come out for clearing lines. For the musty smell after the somewhat scammers installed the new water heater. When all the YouTubers conspired to clog my main plumbing line after the NES marathon last year.
That was the best.
Yeah, it was the best.
Like 8 inches of solid shit.
Yeah, it was the best. It was the best for my wallet afterwards.
God, holy fuck!
I had to decontaminate the whole bathtub afterwards.
That was a special time.
Yeah, it was fantastic, Ian. I hope it never happens to you. Now I want it to happen to you. That's a whole story. Sorry. That's why. So the bidet, the whole point is the bidet would help eliminate that because less toilet paper.
Right.
That's in theory. So I go to install this thing, and silly Pat, I never ever once, when would you ever lift up the little toilet seat cover caps to see what's actually underneath? Because you just assume they're like the plastic little guys.
Yeah.
No, they were rusted metal screws. So I'm saying, this looks strange. Then I look closer.
That's usually what it happens. It's always rusted and shitty.
But the toilet's not that old, and the cover's not that old. It's like a 30-year-old fucking toilet in there. But then I look closer, Ian, at the screws. There's no indentation for either a slotted screwdriver or a Phillips. So I'm just like, okay, now this is an issue, because even if it was rusted, I could probably with brute force, hold the bottom with the wrench underneath. There's a little hole, you hold it, then you unscrew it. So I call up I have a really nice plumber. He calls me up and it's like, you can take a hacksaw to it and to get it out. And I'm just like, I have a regular saw. I don't have a thin hacksaw. I said, just come over and do it for me, please. I'm not going to get through this. I was all psyched to install this in like probably 10, 15 minutes. So he comes over and he looks at it and he's like, yeah, I've never seen that before. I'm like, well, that's just my luck. So literally it's like almost an hour later, he's struggling with this. He had to take a jigsaw to cut the one off on the one side, but then on the opposite side, there wasn't enough room to get the jigsaw against the wall to get underneath. So I'm like, okay. Then I start smelling like burning plastic and metal. He had to take a fucking blowtorch to get off a toilet seat cover screw.
Nice.
To get it weak enough that he can pry it off. So like the toilet seat cover at that point is like non-usable anymore. Like it's not in the shape it was before. So, you know, it took an hour and a half to what should have been a 15-minute do-it-yourself pat job. But you know what? He gave me a decent deal on the price. I know, because plumbers can be stupid expensive. And yeah.
Gotta love a pat job.
Pat job. But now the bidet's installed, and Ian, the bidet is a game changer.
Yeah?
It's a game changer. You feel fresher, let's just say. You need to wipe it off a little bit.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't know that I'm just gonna.
No, you can't get slurpy ass if you just get off the. You still have to wipe and dry off.
Slurpy ass.
Slurpy ass.
Okay.
Yeah. You have slurpy ass, but it's like you know, maybe you wipe once or twice and you're good, or you wipe once, you do a little more spritz and then you're good. You feel like
little spritz,
and you're
spritz.
And most of them, like mine, it has a lever you can adjust in real time, like you're on the Enterprise. You can adjust the power of the stream. You go,
like, how do you aim it properly, though?
Well, there's a general direction, and then you may adjust it a little bit while you're there, and it gets in there.
Okay.
It's not like a 3D thing, you know, on a VR.
Is it warm or is it ice cold?
Well, it's not ice cold because we're in San Diego. They sell them with and without. Something on my chin?
No.
Oh.
I had an itch.
Oh, sorry. They sell it with and without the hot water ones. My hot water under the sink, I'd have to drill holes that get the hot water to there, so I don't have it. I just have the cold water. But at least we're at, the cold water's not bad at all. It's not like, it's not like that. You know, even when you hit the bullseye, you're like, no, you're not.
It's refreshing.
It's a refreshing. It's a refreshment. It's like washing your hands. Water, then soap, then water. It's like doing that. Anyway, so I'm not telling everyone to buy stock in bidet companies, but I don't know why we missed the boat on this. I guess we have a strong toilet paper lobby to keep bidets down. I guess. So I'm guessing. This is just like breakfast cereals, how they're horrible for you.
Yeah.
And it's better for the environment. It's less waste.
Breakfast cereal is miserably bad for you.
It costs you less. You don't have to worry about people hoarding toilet paper as much. One roll with this could last you like 6 months with the bidet. Like you're good to go. You know, it's. Sorry, I'm getting too excited about that.
Sandblast in the ass.
But you have to keep busy with the certain public health crisis, and you gotta look for the silver linings.
Silver linings.
So speaking of silver linings or something lining in the sky, the Pentagon, Ian, yesterday on the 27th, they officially released 3 videos that were recorded by Navy pilots, U.S. Navy pilots and observers to show some UFOs. Mm-hmm. And these were videos that I think one was 2004, one was like 2010 or 13, one was 2017. And these are videos that came out before that were leaked, I guess, by private firms or someone got them. So the Pentagon basically said in a strange move, yeah, these are our videos, these are real. Which it could be to distract from the fact that a lot of people are still suffering and passing away from the coronavirus.
I think that's a lot of it.
You think that's part of it?
I think
but that's not going to. It's not going to last forever. It's not like they said, "Hey, here's some alien guy. We're talking to him." But I always suspect that we're getting trained more and more for gradually letting us know that this stuff is out there and exists. Something is going to hit. I'm not sure saying it's going to be tomorrow, but I think eventually something is going to come out more and more of this stuff. So, but the footage is cool. Did you see it? It's like a minute and a half, all 3 of them. They cut out things, but
right.
The first video to me is the most important one because it literally shows the object go really fast, and they said it's against 120 knot wind, which is a powerful wind. It goes really fast, and then it stops, and then it rotates. And the people watching, you hear them like, "Bro, what is it?" It's funny that they're like talking like the dude saying,
right.
Like, "Bro, what is that?" It just rotated. And so it's like, yeah, we don't have technology that we know of that can do that. That's either some sort of magnetism thing or anti-grav stuff that we don't have. We have propulsion for our planes and everything. So it's interesting.
It's neat.
It's neat stuff. If they could have destroyed us, they would have done it already, the aliens. So maybe to them, they're just watching these little ants, like watching an ant farm. It's like, hey, look at these idiots, what they're doing.
Yeah.
Look at them ruining themselves and the planet and still having wars and things. And not helping each other out.
Wars and things.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's why, I watch a lot of Next Generation. That's why the Next Generation, they have the Prime Directive and First Contact rules. They don't contact you unless you get warp technology to show that you're technologically advanced enough.
Right.
That hopefully you're through most of the intertribal squabbling and stuff. That's not always the case, but it could be maybe it's a first contact rule with them too. Maybe they watch Star Trek Next Generation, so that's a good idea.
That's
a good idea. Picard, we're not going to come talk to these asshole Earthlings until they develop enough technology, or kill themselves first, which from the technology. So anyway, I've been also watching a lot of primetime wrestling.
What is primetime wrestling? What do you mean?
It was the Monday night WF show before Raw. It literally used to be. I didn't know about this because as a kid, you don't know about. I used to watch Superstars on 11 a.m. Saturdays. Yeah. I used to watch All American Wrestling Sunday morning. They also had Wrestling Spotlight, which was like a syndicated version of that, I believe. And there was a fourth one. I can't tell. They had 4 shows: All American Wrestling, Wrestling Spotlight, Superstars, and there was one other. Not kind of like the main event that would come on every couple months. Or I was lucky enough to have MSG Network, which used to show some of the live Saturday night shows when basically WF was still kind of regional, where they do a Madison Square Garden show almost every month. They did up to like the early 90s still. So primetime wrestling was the recap show of like the whole previous week, and they talk about the upcoming pay-per-view, and it was on 8 p.m. Mondays, and that went up to end of 92, early 93. Then they transitioned to Raw. Somehow I found out about Raw, started watching Raw as a kid. I didn't know about primetime wrestling. But the reason that primetime wrestling was so precious is because it came out, I think, in version 85. It had Jesse Ventura, and I forget if it had Arnold Skoland or someone else hosting it. But they quickly transitioned within a year and a half to Gorilla Monsoon and Bobby the Brain as the hosts. And for that alone, you can watch all of them.
Yeah.
Even without the matches. It's nice to watch the matches just because
the announcing is going to be good enough.
Well, they overdub some of the matches, but they're mostly they're in the studio for recap and to talk about things.
Oh, okay, right.
They're hosting it, and 95% of it is ad-libbed between the two. And I only cried 3 times when wrestlers died. When Owen died, I cried. I was also coming off of ACL surgery. I wasn't of sound mind. I was on painkillers. When Macho Man died, and when Bobby the Brain passed away, those are the only times I cried when wrestling figures died. And the more I look back, Bobby the Brain Heenan, to me, is probably my favorite comedian / to me the funniest person.
He was so good.
Funniest person that ever fucking lived. Mm-hmm. At least to me personally. You can go back and watch those things, and it's brilliant. So they're all, I think most of them are on WWE Network. But there's a lot of them they clip out the wrestling part, so it's like 25 minutes of them talking about things, and the interplay between the two it's magical. And they were obviously very close friends in real life, and no one got close to him, Bobby the Brain. Like even Roddy Piper would come on, and Piper was clever with things, but Bobby, you let him get the shots in, but because it's it's interplay and they're acting parts, but no one could touch him. At all. So watch those clips, and there's especially funny ones where they go on location. There's look up primetime wrestling no holds barred, where they do a no holds barred. They're at a screening and they're outside the theater and wrestlers are walking back and forth and in and things like that. There's one where they go on a yacht. Bobby the Brain figures out how to get on a yacht and pretend he's someone else, and they have bikini girls there, and Gorilla comes on, and it's the funniest thing ever. And they break a couple times. They both start laughing at things. They kind of break character. It's funny when things happen. And then there's a brilliant one where they go to some, I think it still exists. Someone told me there's some famous hot dog restaurant somewhere in the Midwest, and it's, I can't do it justice trying to explain how funny these skits are, but because they're all basically ad-libbed. There's one where Bobby the Brain, beginning of a show, I think it's when Ric Flair first came to the WWF. It was a big deal in the middle of '92. Bobby the Brain had the real NWA World Heavyweight Champion. But there's one where he walks through the entire production staff. It's like a Goodfellas one-shot following, and he rips.
So I just checked. There's a 12.5-minute best of Gorilla Monsoon and Bobby the Brain Heenan from Primetime on YouTube.
You need a bit more than that.
Yeah,
I mean, that's not. But there's basically a camera following Bobby the Brain walking through, and he riffs in real time, carrying the belt on all the employees as he goes through, and it's He could have been the greatest stand-up comedian. Like it was great. So sorry, I'm not sure how I never talked about primetime wrestling that much before with them, but yeah, I can go back and watch any of them. Like they're great, and there are full episodes on YouTube as well if you want to watch the wrestling matches. It's interesting to watch the wrestling matches from the mid to late 80s, because even like in 87, 88, you still had that regional sort of feel,
right,
where like the rings looked different in some locations, sure, and you had weird stuff going on. They didn't even have the mats out. Some were still concrete floors around, some of these locations. So like 87, I want to say like WrestleMania 3 is when they started to transition out of the old era, and we're out by like WrestleMania 6, we'll just say. Basically by 92, all the old guys were getting flushed out. Like that WrestleMania was the last, and Royal Rumble the last for that. If you look at the Royal Rumble 92, you have like 20 Hall of Famers in it. It's like the old guard. Yeah. You still like guys from like the mid 80s there, and then you had the newer guys.
And then
like
by 93, you're on a fast track to 95.
Yes, 93 is the new generation. Except when Hogan came back to be a baby and not let Brett win the title back from him and sort of ruin that momentum, that was really worth it. Then he fucked up the WCW. Hogan's the worst ever with him and Macho.
God,
he screwed over Macho and Brett so badly, both of them. Two of my favorite wrestlers, Brett and Macho, there. Anyway, so go back and watch primetime wrestling there. Speaking of wrestling, Ian, we got some news here about WWE2K21.
Yeah, WWE2K21 has been canceled, and they're putting out a game called Battlegrounds.
Because it's a Battlegrounds.
This isn't the first time. Well, it's the first time they've canceled it, and they needed to. We talked about this last year. When they released 2K20, it was such a broken mess. And 19 wasn't very good. They're on their own now. They don't have Ukes with them anymore. It's just 2K, and they're basically...
They started from scratch, just about.
Well, no, they're not. They're still using...
Well, they did.
Oh, what?
Well, that's why the last game was such a buggy mess.
Well, no, the last game was a buggy mess because, no, they were still using the Ukes code. It was just years and years and years worth of this code.
Oh, they didn't have Ukes helping them.
Right. Ukes is not with them anymore. So they have the original game. They have the game. They have the engine, but now it's just them working on it. And from what we talked about it a little bit back then, I don't remember the particulars, but people said it's basically just like it's been this code that they've been using for like 10 years, and they just keep piling more and more shit onto it, and it's broken.
Basically hack it together.
Yeah, it's hacked together, and it collapsed under its own weight finally. After a few bad years, and they need to take a year off. They need to retool it from the ground up, and that's hopefully what they're doing this year. So in an effort to kind of patch things over, they're releasing an arcade style wrestling game called Battlegrounds. This is not the first time that the WWE has done this. They did release a very good wrestling game that I enjoyed quite a bit called WWE, I think it was All Stars.
Yes.
About 10 years ago. I played the 3DS version. I played the console version. A lot of fun, very easy to pick up and play. Not as deep. It doesn't have all the options and stuff like that, but it was a very fun game, and I think that this could actually be good. I have more interest in playing this than I would have WWE 2K21.
Do you think they planned this just because they knew they wouldn't have a new game coming out, or it was on the docket anyway? Because this is it's an arcadey game. They show The Rock throwing Cena into a fucking dinosaur's mouth. There's a fiery Shoryuken that Cena does in this trailer. It's a goofy little fighting game.
Yeah, so I don't know that this was planned. I think that this is probably kind of a holdover. I would not expect to see, I would not expect this to have nearly as many options, of course. I'm sure they'll probably still charge $60 for it, but I
hope not.
They will.
Okay.
They absolutely will. I'm interested. Like I said, I don't necessarily have faith in it, but I'm interested. Like I said, I'm more interested in this than I would have been 2K21.
Yeah, as long as they still support 2K20 to do roster updates and things like that, they should. Because people bought something that was a buggy mess. I mean, God, go real quick. Go back through the issues. Faces were falling off, and wrestlers and referees getting jumbled in the ropes and out of control. And the Rock's fucking looked like PS2 almost, barely above PS2 graphics. Like they went back in time on the graphics of some of how these wrestlers looked. In terms of it's insane. Mm-hmm. Like wrestling games to me, are the only, if you want to call it sports, they're the only ones that takes weird steps back almost every year. While like the Madden games progress like, yeah, you can say, oh, there's features dropped off, but like they don't like go back in time. Like these wrestling games just go back in time, it seems like. They take steps forward and they get rid of stuff, then it comes back, and they don't figure out that formula, I guess. I know wrestling engines are really complicated to get down, and there's not one size fits all, but it's frustrating if you're obviously a wrestling fan and want to play these games.
Sure.
We're like, 40 years into wrestling games almost, and there's still not like one solid way. This is how you do a wrestling game. Like for fighting games, it's pretty much, yeah, this is your standard fighting game. This is how it works. For wrestling games, it's like, no. It's like every series has their own engine and way to play it and own gameplay function. I just think it's interesting. Never figured it out.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I'm doing an NES book giveaway, Ian.
Oh.
Giving away 5 certain NES guidebooks. Of course, you can go to ultimatenes.com, ultimatenintendo.com. You can get the books. You can get a Blu-ray. You can get the enamel pins. You can get the limited T-shirt right here. You can do all that, but I'm also doing a giveaway. Go follow me on Twitter at PatTheNESPunk. I have a tweet. I'll also put it in the comments, or if you're on YouTube. And all you gotta do is follow me, retweet it, and I'm gonna do 5. I'm gonna pick 5 winners on May the 4th, and sign and mail them out.
Neat.
Speaking of my birthday coming up, I didn't really speak of it. Birthday's in a couple weeks. I'm gonna do a charity stream, I believe, on my birthday, on May 9th.
When's
Saturday.
your birthday? May 9th.
May 9th. Write it down, Ian. I'm likely not officially announcing right now, but it's probably gonna be a TurboGrafx streaming day, and I'll probably raise charity for something to hopefully benefit something going on with the current public health crisis. I talked to Norm. He gave me a good one to look at that matches. So I'll stream on my twitch.tv/CountryCode. And I streamed I streamed Sunday, Ian.
Yeah.
I streamed NES games. I had fun.
Yeah, that's good.
I streamed Danny Sullivan's Indie Heat.
Good.
Was one that was chosen, and I lost to Danny in one of the final races.
Oh no!
Because I guess by that point, if you lose once, you're done. And it's challenging. And then I streamed. What else did I stream? I streamed a game that Ian was right about. In retrospect, about I gave it too much of a favorable rating in the certain NES guidebook.
Which one?
Rolling Thunder.
Yeah, it's fucking awful.
It's not awful.
No, it's bad.
It's not awful.
It's a very bad version of the game.
Well, the arcade game is perfect. That's the problem. You're going from basically a perfect or near perfect game to Rolling Thunder. I must have had rose tinted glasses because the second time I went through it, for at least for the first half of the game, because there's like 8 stages in Rolling Thunder. The first half of the game was difficult but tolerable, and the problem with the NES port of Rolling Thunder, which I noticed in the book, is that the controls are a little bit stuck and delayed.
Yeah,
especially in Rolling Thunder. The biggest thing about Rolling Thunder, the reason why you have to have pinpoint controls, is that you need to be able to turn and squat and turn and shoot. I mean, within a split second, shoot both sides. That's harder to do on the NES version.
Exactly.
It's very hard to do that. So the harder the game gets, the more you get into situations where, holy shit, this is next to impossible. And I got to I think it was the 7th or 8th stage where I started to curse because I was using save states, and there was literally times where not just the controls were being difficult in the game, but the AI was way harder than what I remember the arcade version being, where guys would come out of the doors and shoot you within less than half a second. I never remember that happening in the arcade version. They would literally walk for a split second, then they'd shoot you. Like they'd fire immediately. Like you almost didn't get a chance to react. Not just that, it was also now where whenever I jumped down, they would shoot me in midair, like react instantly. Like, oh, he's coming. Again, I haven't played on MAME in a while. I don't remember the arcade version being that difficult. So there were literally parts where I was stuck because there was like 2 or 3 enemies. I had to jump over to get down to them. I couldn't shoot them, and I couldn't jump far away enough that they automatically would shoot when I was on their level in order to jump away, be able to duck, turn, and shoot. It took me one time 40 times to get through this one section. Which says, I'm not even kidding. People in the chat are like, this is insane. At that point, I'm like, yep, I'm going to revise the review. It's being docked at least half a star. And if I sell through the 3rd print run for the 4th print run, I'm definitely going to dock it at least half a star. So Ian, you were right about that. So it's not awful, but it wasn't as good as I thought it was.
You want to tell everyone at home how you think Doom 2 is a bad game?
I was just kidding about Doom 2. Doom 2 is not as good as the first Doom, though.
Okay.
I gave you an Ian was right. That's where you should quit while you're ahead, Ian.
Sorry, I'm feeling greedy now.
Your face is turning red with excitement.
I just think that's one of the worst things you've ever said.
Oh, I mean, listen.
Doom 2, a bad game.
Hey, you're breaking the friend DA agreement. This is stuff I was talking about during I think live stream. I think I spoke about this.
What
about Doom 2, wasn't it?
No, you mentioned it. You mentioned it at the beginning of the last podcast.
Yeah, I don't enjoy Doom. Well, let's put it this way: Doom 2 Ultra Violence was not fun.
Some of the most fun I've ever had playing
fun.
a video game. Yes,
it's not fun. You're bad. No, I got to the 12th stage and I quit. I was like, I'm done with this. It was gonna take forever. I was like, I'm done with it. Plus, I forgot that Doom 2 wasn't structured like Doom 1, having like 10 stages per.
It's 35
it's just,
stages.
Yeah, it's just one long.
It's 25 or 35 stages. I can't remember.
So once I remember that, I was like, okay, I'm done. After Unreal beat the shit out of me, way more than Doom 2 did, by the way. And then Doom 2, I was like, okay, I'm done. Back to NES games. But May 9th, I'll do TurboGrafx. Ian, you happy with me doing TurboGrafx?
Sure.
I'll do some Devil's Crush, Alien Crush. Well, the Mini has Alien Crush. I guess
yes, the Mini has Alien
Crush.
It
depends if I use emulators or not there. So
Atari VCS has an update. Just a little update.
It's on a Medium. It's on their Indiegogo.
Yeah, it's on their Indiegogo. They have flipped the switch to mass production. Although I still think that's also like not exact. Today, hello backers. Today's update marks an important event as we flip the switch on Atari VCS mass production. That's right. This week, mass production on the first new Atari VCS systems is underway. Our Indiegogo campaign page header has changed to show that Atari VCS is officially in the production stage. But this is where it's less exciting, and we mentioned this before. This is the batch of approximately 500 pieces as mentioned previously. So no one's going to see these. These important Atari VCS, they're important. Atari VCS Onyx systems are mainly earmarked for additional content developers, merchant and distributor samples, and other critical businesses.
Distributor samples?
And critical business uses such as standard reliability testing. You need 500 units for that. This is in advance of the full 10,000 unit run of Collector's Edition and Onyx units going to our valued Indiegogo backers, and then more units for our following customers. So that's all I need to read from that. So we're making them, but not really.
Wait a minute.
You still won't get one.
How is this flipping the switch on mass production?
That's what I'm saying. It's not.
I guess flipping it towards no production to production, but 500 is not mass production.
Exactly.
I don't understand that. I don't understand that at all. I feel
like at this point they're just buying time.
Well, we always said that. I mean, it's been years now. Of course, it's been like 2 years.
So 500 pieces. So 500 review units. I mean, that's kind of what they're saying, is that these are dealer samples.
What distributor samples would they need? Here, GameStop, take one and look at it. They're not going to give a shit. They're just going to put it on their website and sell it.
Yeah.
Target's not going to. There's no one at Target headquarters that we're going to play this. No, just I don't understand it. I don't get this at all here. That's fantastic. Speaking of
additional content developers.
What content developers?
Nothing's been announced.
It's bizarre. Speaking of new consoles based upon 40-year-old properties, I'm going to give a shout out to a YouTube channel, Top Loaded Gaming, conducted probably the finest interview I've seen online with our pal Tommy Tallarico concerning the Amico. Check out Top Loaded Gaming because unlike other interviewers, Top Loaded Gaming actually conducted an interview with questions prepared and actually responded and followed up and called out a certain CEO of a company on bullshit here and there. So check it out. It was interview. It was interesting. The interview, especially since Top Loaded Gaming was extremely fair with Mr. Tallarico, but still you can see the color hue change in his face slowly through because he realized this wasn't a softball interview, and it became like hot pink about an hour into the interview when Top Loaded Gaming was extremely fair and never raised his voice and never, it's a fine interview. So check it out, Top Loaded Gaming. Kudos for putting on a good interview there and not just giving a hand job in a Ferrari there. So anyway, Ian. So anything else we want to add before we get on? We might. I think the plan was to do this intro on a YouTube Premiere to get people going. But if you're watching on YouTube Premiere, we're on Podbean. CUpodcast.podbean.com. You can listen to the rest of the sloppy podcast right now as we go into our first topic.